The first issue I want to raise, or facet of IB pedagogy that is distinctive, is the fact that it is very much inquiry-based learning. This is growing. It's not just in IB that this approach to teaching and learning is growing. Inquiry-based learning is messy, so teachers have to open up their classes to allow students to define how to engage with an experiment. Okay, here are the principles that you have to explore. How are you going to do that as a group? And very often the students will do it in groups. And the research is extensive, that approach to learning, where the students are put in the position of being the drivers and not just the passive receptors of information, embeds that information deep in their long-term memory, but it also makes connections for them between different disciplines, and also makes the process enjoyable. The process of learning actually is something that becomes natural and that they are in charge of. And that's the message that they're sent, as opposed to learning being this: attend class on time, take the notes, walk away, next class, that more mechanistic approach to learning. Transdisciplinary refers to the fact that within IB courses, this is greatly manifested in the MYP. It is expected that teachers from different disciplines will collaborate and create learning experiences that will cross over the different disciplines. This is interesting. Recently, I watched a review of what's happening in Finland in terms of their secondary schools breaking down the barriers between the different subject areas. They're not entirely breaking down the boundaries. A lot of people think they're just throwing out subjects. They're not. But they are pushing the connections between knowledge, and they are attempting to have students envision the fact that knowledge and learning is not really, in the real world, separated into these compartmentalized subject areas. So teachers within the different disciplines will collaborate and will reference to other disciplines. And one very explicit way that that is done is through TOK, the Theory of Knowledge course that I spoke of earlier. Each subject has to attend to theory of knowledge. So students are talking about theory of knowledge and philosophical issues in their TOK course, but teachers in the math department, or myself, I also teach at the school in my art class, also refer to TOK and the big fuzzy questions surrounding what is beauty, what is art, etc. And finally, breadth of learning. And this is something that is essential to the IB diploma. It has been with the IB diploma since it began. And it is the reason why the IBO is concerned about this tendency in the Americas for students just to take a series of IB subjects and not do the full program. Breadth of learning refers to the fact that students are expected to use all those areas of their brain and extend their capacities. It's well known, of course, that neurons that fire together wire together. If you don't access those parts of the brain required, for example, math, because you really like English and drama and you shy away from math, then guess what? That capacity in that area of your brain is not going to be developed. You may not be that comfortable in that subject, particularly in the grades 11 and 12, but you're still expected to take courses in a range of subjects. In the US, or in many schools in Canada who use the AP as their university prep program, students can take basically English, math, and science in grade 11 and 12. They don't have to maintain breadth in their program. And from an IB vantage point, that is not a good way to approach this university preparation the final years before students go down the rabbit hole of specialization in university. It will happen, of course. In order to master a canon of knowledge at the professional level as a scholar, you have to specialize. But from an IB point of view, that should not happen until the students go on to university. There are 6 course groupings. Group 1 pertains to language and literature. We offer this course in English and in German and Mandarin. There are 2 courses that are offered in this group. One is literature specifically. It is a more, one could say, traditional approach to the study of the canon of literature. Students will read a number of works over 2 years, but these works will come from that canon. It could be in the form of a drama or poetry or a novel, but it will be from the canon of literature. The other course in that group is called Language and Literature, and it is a fairly new course. It's much more broad-based. So it draws upon the canon of literature, but it also draws upon popular culture, magazines, and so on, and the different way that text is used in those different contexts. So it's a slightly different approach to the study of the use of language in a culture. Group number 2 is second language. I mentioned the breadth of learning. All students who undertake the diploma are expected to take a course in their second language. It could be Spanish, French, Mandarin, or German. Those are the 4 that we offer here. And we have 3 different levels of language learning. Ab initio is from the beginning. So students who have not explored a language before, they haven't taken German, they're interested in German, they can come into this course and begin. Students can take up to 1 year of a formal course in the language and still take ab initio. If they've done more than 1 year of formal study in a language, they are not permitted within the ab initio course. Language B, SL, and HL, I'll unpack that right now. I'm on it. So what you will notice in all of the course listings is that there are HL or SL courses. Of the 6 courses, the students to get a diploma must take 3 HL courses and they must take 3 SL courses. HL is higher level, SL is standard level. I mentioned the breadth of learning, and I mentioned the fact that students by grade 10, late grade 10, they kind of have a feeling for where their strengths are and where they're a little bit shy. Of course, the SL-HL split is intended to address that so that they can choose HL courses that address their strengths, and the SL courses where they feel less secure in their abilities. Group 3 are the humanities courses. We have quite a range of humanities courses on offer. Group 4, the sciences. Group 5, mathematics. Mathematics exists at 3 levels. And Group 6 is the arts. I will mention here, you're probably thinking if you want to, in many universities in Canada, there is a prerequisite if students want to go into the sciences, not all of the science programs, but many, that they have 2 grade 12 sciences. Well, how do you do that if you have to take 6 courses, only 1 of which is science? What many students will do is they will choose Group 6 as optional. You can drop Group 6 and pick up a second science instead. So there is, within the sort of hard and fast notion that you take a subject in each group, there are exceptions that can be made to be more flexible in terms of course choice. Prerequisites, couple of things I'll mention here. I've touched upon the language in terms of ab initio. There's some issues in terms of what level of language students are to be at when they undertake SL or HL. I also didn't mention, just going back for a moment, if you look at Group 1, students can study German in their native tongue. So if a child is coming from Germany and they're a native German speaker, they can study German literature. They can also study English literature. So they'll be doing, instead of doing a Group 2, they will be studying German at the A level and English at the A level. So it accommodates those students who already are already fully bilingual. In addition, if they do that, if a student takes 2 English A courses, they will get a bilingual diploma as well. So that's kind of an additional feather in their cap, as it were. Prerequisites, 80% or above average on grade 10 December report. That's my guideline. So I will review the December reports. What I annually do is I'll go through the reports in grade 10 in December and take a look at those students who are comfortable and doing well in their program, and I'll make recommendations to these students. Now, does this mean that if I have a 78, I'm barred, I can't access a diploma? No, it doesn't. I have experience for a number of years now, students who were struggling a bit for a variety of issues, many of them related to maturity in grade 10, and they weren't at that 80 level, and they came and spoke with me, and they said, I really want to do this, and I had them reflect on why they think that their average wasn't where it could be, and they were quite mature in their response. So I let them into the program, and they continued on and successfully received their diploma. So this is a guideline for my reference, but it is not a firm benchmark. The math piece, I mentioned that there are 3 levels of math. There is Math Studies, Math SL, Math HL. If you want to access Math SL or HL, it is required that you have the grade 11 functions course completed prior to beginning IB 1 year, which is grade 11. How do you do that? There's a variety of ways to do that. A number of students currently in grade 10 are already enrolled in grade 11 math, so they'll be completing the course this year. You can do it through online courses, or you can do it through a summer school course to get that credit under your belt so that you're prepared for what happens in SL and HL. Math Studies, it does not require it. And as I mentioned here, the Ridley August Academy offerings, the physics is on offer, functions is on offer, and I believe there are more courses on offer. If you keep your eye out for postings in the new year pertaining to the offerings for the summer academies in August, that option list is growing. Assessment. There are 2 components to assessment for an IB course. There is, of course, the assessment that's ongoing in the classroom, the formative assessment that teachers are doing on an ongoing basis. But how is the final IB grade generated for that student? There are 2 types of evidence. There is coursework, moderated coursework that is done in class with the teacher, that the teacher marks, and then it is sent out, and it's marked again by an external moderator. Usually that moderator is in one of the other regions. So if we're in the Americas regions, it will be sent out to someone in the Asia Pacific region or in the Europe, Africa. It doesn't always happen, but that's the guiding principle of IB, is to make sure that examiners are marking work from children all around the world. It's very distinctive in that regard. It is indeed fully international. And also there is the May external exam piece. They happen in IB 2 year. So it's important to recognize, if you're not aware of it already, I'll reiterate the fact that when you start an IB course, you begin in grade 11 and you finish that course at the end of grade 12 in May with your IB exams. And the exams will cover the material that has been covered over the 2 years from grade 11 to 12. Okay? In the examination period, it is not one exam. There are at least 2 exams that are written for each subject. Sometimes there are 3 papers that are written. So it's not a one-off experience. And the different papers have a slightly different approach to how they're having students demonstrate evidence of learning and understanding. In science, for example, paper 1 is a multiple choice. In the sciences, that's the only paper that has multiple choice questions. All of the other papers do not have multiple choice questions. If you think back to when I discussed this concept of learning and how there is rote learning versus inquiry-based learning and demonstration of understanding, that is the philosophy of IB, that in examinations, the students have to engage with the content in a way that is beyond just selecting an appropriate response to a question. Reporting period. In June of IB1, there is an interim IB grade that is issued on the report card. During grade 11, the students will be receiving a percentage grade that will relate to their OSSD course. I'll pause here for a second. I don't want to overwhelm you with this, but in Ontario, by law, all schools that offer the IB diploma must also demonstrate that they are completing the OSSD, the Ontario Secondary School diploma requirements as well. So what we do on our reports is we will list that this student is taking IB physics, but they're taking this OSSD physics credit as well. So they're getting both credits at the same time.